Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Now, however bad stage 1 of MSI was, however boring because the format sucked or the games were uncompetitive or there was such a large gap between the top teams and the bottom teams, there was all this drama, all this controversy, replaying games, seeing G2 against Order 4 times, seeing RNG against their group 9 total games, and all this craziness. However much stage 1 sucked, stage 2, or the Rumble stage of MSI, is making up for it in a big way. It has been super fun, super exciting so far, especially if you are a Western League of Legends fan. And there's so much I want to talk about, so many videos I want to make and I'm going to make, but we got to start somewhere. And we're going to be starting by talking about G2. But first, a word from today's sponsor, which is Prize Picks. This is daily fantasy made easy. Prize Picks, the website and app that you can get today in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. They offer a ton of different games. They offer esports, they offer LOL esports, and they're offering games and picks for MSI right now. Some of the picks I'm looking at, I'm recording this just before G2 plays against Saigon Buffalo. So I'm looking at over 3.5 kills against Saigon Buffalo for Jankos, and I'm actually going under 5.5 kills for Caps. Yes, Caps does look like the best player in the world right now, but I fear that this might be a really close game, and him getting all the way to 6 kills, they might not have enough time to do it. But if you want to make some picks of your own, check out the first link in the description below, where Prize Picks is going to match your first deposit up to $100 for new users. A really awesome deal. So thank you to them. Hopefully you guys check them out. With that being said, let's get right into this. So we got to start out by talking about the day that G2 had yesterday. Again, I'm recording this before G2 plays Saigon Buffalo. So at this point, G2 is 3-0 in the Rumble stage. They're coming off a 8-0 stage 1, and they're now 3-0 in the Rumble stage with wins over T1 and RNG. And if we take a look at these games, first up, their game against T1, this had so much kind of hype and anticipation coming into this game because G2 and T1, they are one of the real international rivalries out there. It's really hard to get international rivalries when we only have 2 international tournaments a year. They're both pretty hard to qualify for. MSI, you literally have to win the split, so you need you to win the split and your rival to win the split to even meet up at MSI. And then Worlds, you need your teams to be in the top 3, which, is a little bit easier, but even last year, G2 with their super team wasn't able to qualify for Worlds. T1 has missed Worlds before. Korea's competitive. Europe, it's hard to stay on top forever. So again, the overall landscape of LOL esports in general doesn't really set up for competitive international rivalries. But G2 and T1 is one of those. Again, they met at MSI back in 2019 when G2 took the whole thing down. G2 beat them. Then G2 went on to Worlds, beat them again in the semifinals. So T1 wants revenge. Faker wants revenge. And this was obviously an amazing T1 team. The undefeated LCK juggernaut, sweeping through the regular season, sweeping through the playoffs. But G2 on a massive win streak of their own. Faker calling out G2, saying he wants to play them. Caps has some insane win rate, 9-3 against Faker. That has to be one of the best. It might be the best win rate against Faker of all time, of people that have actually played a substantial amount of games against him. Caps has had Faker's number, and Faker knows it. But again, this is G2 coming in with 2 inexperienced players in Flockhead and Targamas. They have Broken Blade, who pretty relatively unexperienced on the international stage. And T1, again, this insane tournament favorite juggernaut team, but G2 got it done. Now, yes, this is just a single best of 1, but T1 actually did get out to an early game lead. Obviously, they have the Tristana, they have Kennen, who's going to do pretty well against Ornn. He's going to build up a gold lead. They were getting some stuff done, and G2 simply outplayed them in the mid to late game, both maneuvering them, or outmaneuvering them on the map, but also in team fights. From a deficit, G2 made the plays they needed to. Again, they had a really nice comp. Obviously, a ton of knockups for the Yasuo in Rakan, Diana, and Ornn. BB going 3-0-9. Jankos 8-1-7 on the Diana, just crazy. Targamas 1-2-16 on the Rakan. I think he got solo killed or 2v2 killed really early against Gumayusi and Keria, and then ended up still bouncing back and having an awesome game. Overall, this was really well played from everyone on G2, showing up and having a good draft, having a good game plan, executing, and knocking off the undefeated tournament favorite Korean side. And this was amazing. This was everything G2 needed. This is everything EU fans and Western League of Legends fans needed to get excited about this tournament and get excited about this team. And it was something I tweeted out after this game. I tweeted out hey, League of Legends is better when the West has a top team involved. Now, the last couple years where the West hasn't necessarily had someone, competing for international titles. Yes, I think in 2020, G2 made the semifinals, but they weren't seeing really they ended up losing pretty convincingly to Damwon Kia. They didn't make it to the finals. They weren't really seen as like a team that had a chance to win it all, and we didn't even get MSI. But thinking back to 2018, 2019, when we actually had teams competing in the World Finals, those years are so much more interesting. They're so much more fun. They're so much more exciting. Even if the team falls short, still, the East, they're always going to show out. They're always going to be excited. They're always going to be hyped because their teams always legitimately have a chance to win. But then when the West, or just Europe, I guess, also has a chance to win, that makes it so much more fun. Viewership's going to be better. Content's going to be better. The excitement, the rivalries, the energy, everything is going to be better. So this was a huge win, not only for G2, not only for the West, but also this shows everyone in the tournament that T1 is beatable, but it also is a massive statement from G2 that, hey, we're not the third best team. We're not the third best region. We are here to win this thing. This isn't, LPL versus LCK. This is MSI. This is LPL, LCK, and LEC all showing up. This is kind of a three-team race, I guess. And then G2, with a really, really insane schedule, had to play against RNG the very same day. And this game was quite different than the T1 game. Again, like I said, in the T1 game, T1 was able to get out to a pretty substantial early game lead, and G2 had to, make some plays. They had to make some mid to late game calls. They had to win some big team fights from a goal deficit. Against RNG, they were pretty much up from start to finish. Now, RNG was able to keep it relatively close in the early to mid game, but G2, was never really losing this game, and it was never really like a game that RNG necessarily should have won or anything like that. And again, just a big game from a bunch of different people. Caps absolutely showed out in the Zoe pick. This was huge. Jankos 337 on the Wukong was really nice, but this was really the coming out party for Flockhead. 9-2-9 for Flockhead against RNG. Like, who could have ever predicted this? This is his first split of competitive. Yes, he is 21 years old, so he's not like the 18, 19-year-old mega zoomer rookie or anything like that, but he is still relatively young. He has a bright, bright, bright future ahead of him. And man, him coming out and showing up with a big game, not only just popping off with a big game at MSI. If he had big games at MSI in general, that would be awesome. That would be amazing. But for it to be, I need to close my blinds real quick, but for it to be against RNG, is just extra mega insane. I mean, this was exactly what G2 needed. You come to these events and you want to show up, you want to perform, you want to impress, but if you're young players, Targamas and Flockhead, or your inexperienced players, can show up, and your veterans are also playing amazing. Jankos and Caps playing amazing has got to be inspiring these other guys. It's got to be showing them, hey guys, we can do this. Hey, you're on G2 now. You are here to win this tournament. You're not here, like EG. They're here to get experience. EG is trying to get through this tournament and then hope that Danny and JoJo Pune can learn a lot from this, get better, maybe compete a year or two down the line and be a big threat at this tournament. That's not what G2 is trying to do. Carlos has said since this past offseason, G2 is here to win international tournaments. They're here to win MSI. They're here to win Worlds. They have Caps. They have Jankos. This is one of the best mid-jung duos in the world at their best. Caps right now is performing like the best player in the world. So Targamas, Flockhead, Broken Blade, you guys got to keep up. You guys are you guys are here to get experience, and if you level up and get better, that's awesome. But we're also here to take this thing down. And this was a really, again, much more dominant victory from G2, start to finish, showing up in the early game, showing up in the mid game, not throwing in the late game, completing a victory, showing that they can do it, and showing that multiple different players can be absolutely massive threats. Now, Broken Blade has also looked pretty solid so far. Again, he had that good Orange game against T1. His Vladimir game doesn't look as insane here. He definitely, they threw a lot of attention towards the top lane early. I still think overall BB played pretty well. He's probably the worst performing member of G2 so far at this tournament, but that's not really a slight at BB at all. It's the fact that this whole G2 team has been showing up. And obviously we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Obviously there's still a lot of tournament left to be played. But right now, remaining undefeated, knocking off T1, knocking off RNG, doing that in the same day, having to prepare for the other two best teams in the tournament and play the two best teams in the tournament just a couple hours apart. That's crazy. That's stressful. That's hard to do. They were able to do it. That is a great sign. And man, it makes me so excited. And I hope that G2 can continue to perform the rest of the tournament. I hope that G2 can continue to perform the rest of the year. I hope they win MSI, but more so than that, I really hope they can show up with some form like this. I hope that Caps and Jankos can show up with some form like this at Worlds, and that the West, Europe, G2, whoever can take down a world title. That's ultimately what I want. We've won MSI before, and I want G2 to win MSI again. but we need that world title. And I'm so happy that we're able to, against the undefeated T1 team, the crazy, huge tournament favorites, G2 has no chance. Winning some games is great, but, they're going to have to continue to win some games. Also, this does show that two things, e.g., they beat PSG Talon and Saigon Buffalo. It also shows that G2 potentially had the hardest group stage. Either way, they for sure had the hardest, second best team in their group. And it does make G2 going 4-0 against EG look even more impressive, since they were better than, Saigon Buffalo and PSG Talon and, some of the other teams that RNG and T1 played against in their groups, obviously. But then it also shows good for EG that, hey, they maybe had the best team in the whole tournament as their 1 seed, so going 0-4 against them maybe doesn't look so bad as well. So even for NA fans, even for EG fans, maybe this is still some good news. But like I said, there's plenty of stuff to already talk about in this first round robin of the Rumble stage. There's going to be a ton of MSI videos coming out this week, and I'm just super excited. A team in the West has a chance to take this thing down, and even if they don't do it, them having a chance is going to make the whole tournament way more fun to watch. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you think about G2 right now. Do you think they are the best team at MSI? Do you think they're the best team in the world? Do you think they are now the favorites to win this thing? Do you think T1's going to bounce back? RNG is going to bounce back? I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. But until then.